Hey everyone, it's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. And as you all know, I own an immigration law firm. That is all we do. We don't handle any other types of cases. We work with clients all over the United States, so all 50 states and DC, as well as internationally. We help businesses, business owners, when they have individuals that they are looking to hire that are not US citizens. We help them with all of that immigration visa strategy and the paperwork and make sure that we get their employee onboarded on the immigration piece of it. As well, we also help our employers sponsor employees that are not US citizens for green cards. And we also work with families. So for my families, it's usually going to be a United States citizen that's looking to sponsor a family member. That family member is usually going to be a spouse, a fiance, a dependent child, or an aging parent. Remember, dependent child in the immigration context is under 21 and unmarried. So the second you get married at age 20 or younger, you are no longer considered your parent's dependent, and you have to find an independent way to handle your own immigration process within the United States. So that is me. I am live again tonight. I wanted to come chat with you guys. I hope everybody had a really good Veterans Day weekend. And if there are any veterans tuning in, thank you so much for your service. Two of my mentees are actually veterans, so Veterans Day definitely holds a special place for me in my heart. And I swore I would never wear this blouse again while going live because I can't see the questions. And here I am, totally forgot about it. Let's see here. You guys are quick with the questions tonight. So I'm on a little bit earlier because I'm having dinner earlier. Let's see here. But I did remember to put my glasses on, so there's that. It's Eddie. Hello, how are you? What do we got here? How can an elderly person come into the US with a visa just to visit? I am a resident. They get a visitor visa. They apply for their visitor visa. They get a visitor visa. They come on in just like anybody else. They come visit and then they go back home. That's how someone who is elderly. Now, the challenge is, depending for some elderly folks, the challenge, just I guess like it is with some younger folks, may be showing the immigration service that they have the ties to go back home. As well, they need to make sure that they are showing that they have the finances in order to financially support themselves while they're in the United States. But if they can get by those two hurdles, I see no reason why the immigration service would not approve that visitor visa. But keep in mind, visitor visas sometimes are hard to get because the officers find it difficult to believe that some people are coming back home, that they have enough ties to come back home, and that they have the finances to support themselves while they're away. Oh, this is helpful. Hold on. There we go. I'm married to an Army officer, but I have J1 2-year foreign restriction. Can I apply for a green card? No. 2-year foreign residency requirement is for those folks that have J1 status. For some folks, not all. Some people that have J1 status. If you have J1 status and you have a 2-year foreign residency requirement, you cannot adjust your status, meaning you cannot apply for a green card while you're in the United States unless you receive a waiver of that 2-year foreign residency requirement. So you would need to get a waiver of your 2-year foreign residency requirement, and then, and only then, could your spouse apply for your green card. Is what a long process? Is what a long process? Tell me more. I don't know what you're asking. I have to apologize. I tend to slurp my tea. I didn't really realize this till, I don't know, about a year ago when my friend told me, and I was like, oh, I guess I slurp my tea. So please don't be offended. Hold on. It's Eddie. You're asking if this is what going to be a long process? And we are live on TikTok, Facebook page, and the YouTube channel. So I will be checking both, or all three, I should say, to see if y'all have any questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in. But I do a lot of work with businesses that have identified someone that they want to hire, whether that person is inside the United States, outside the United States, maybe working within the same group of family-owned companies. Maybe they're just working at one of the overseas offices. So we do quite a bit of that. We also work with families that are looking to sponsor their loved ones for green cards. And if you guys follow me, you know that I don't really answer questions about processing times, because processing times depend on the type of case that you file and the office that is processing your case. And I don't know all the processing times. Here. It's acting a little wonky. Okay. Let's see here. Marriage Army Officer. What else do we have? I ask you a question and you never answer. Okay, ask your question. I'm on now. If I can answer it, I will. If I won't, I will certainly tell you. Y'all know I am very clear with questions that if I don't know the answer, I will certainly tell you that. I have a 212 D5A paroled, and now I'm married. Can I adjust? I don't know what a D5A is. I have no idea what that is. That is a super specific question. You would need to have a consultation. And chances are, quite honestly, the best person for you to have a consultation with is probably not me, given that I don't understand what you're asking when you're saying D5A paroled. Two and two is a type of waiver. So my office doesn't really handle waivers. So I am definitely not the best person for you to talk to when it comes to a 212. But for a super specific question like that, y'all, I am an immigration attorney. I've been practicing for 25 years now. I used to be a USCIS Adjudications Officer up at headquarters in Washington, D.C., but I'm not your attorney. So I cannot I cannot answer super specific answers. I can't give you legal advice. I can give you really broad brush, very general broad strokes here. But if you want to work with me and work with a firm, the very first thing you need to do, which is what all of my amazing clients do, they schedule a consultation. During that consultation, we have an in-depth conversation. I ask a ton of questions to figure out what the strategy is to get you where you want to be with your immigration journey. And then we go from there, and then we decide if we want to work together. Let's see here. Let's see, what do we got here? My biometric says 1 week until current stage is complete, but I haven't even gotten a date yet. Okay, what is your question? What is your question about your biometrics? Or do you have a question about your biometrics? It could just be a comment, which is also fine. What else do y'all have for me this lovely Monday evening? Well, I think I've thrown some people off. I usually don't hop on this early in my lives. And thank you for the likes, Yaya the Savage. I appreciate that. And I love that name, by the way. I love that screen name. What else do y'all have for me? I did biometrics back in September of this year. Will I get a work permit after? So here's the thing. The biometrics are one part of your application. So the fact that you did your biometrics is great. Assuming you are eligible and you qualify for your work permit and nothing comes back wonky in your biometrics, you should get your work permit. If you're, if that's the issue. If there is something that comes up in your background check or something that comes up in your application that they just haven't gotten to yet, then they may issue your request for further evidence or they may deny the work permit. So I don't know. But that's usually what happens. Usually you will take your biometrics, they will run the background checks, then they will, then they'll look at your application. If you qualify, if all things are good, they don't see any problems, then yes, they should approve you. Let's see, over to YouTube. Can you get married on your H-2B? Sure. I don't see why that would be a problem. I think the question that you're really asking is not simply, can you get married? Because government doesn't really care if you get married. So I think what you're actually asking is, can your spouse then sponsor your green card? I think that is actually what you're asking me. So if you want your intending spouse, to sponsor your green card, that's a whole different question. And I would recommend that you schedule a consultation and we are happy to talk about the logistics of that. I work with clients before they get married. Some people come to me, they say, listen, we're in love, we want to get married, but we want to understand what the immigration process looks like. We're engaged. We want to know what the immigration process looks like. So I walk my clients through what that process looks like, timing, and all that. So that is something that if that is your real question, then I would recommend that you click the link and schedule a consultation. Click the link below. AJ, my pleasure. My question, does the 1 week until completed mean that I'll get biometric date within the next week? I mean, I hope so. From our wishes and hopes to God's ear, right? But I don't know, I would love to tell you that absolutely yes, immigration is going to do something within a week. Unless they are pushed to do something within a week, unless they are mandated to do something in a week, I would not, hold my breath to say, oh my God, I'm absolutely going to get this in a week. That's just not how immigration works. Do I think it'll probably come sooner rather than later? Yes, I do. But would I hold my breath for a week? No, which I understand is tough to hear because people want their work permits so that they can work, right? So that they can pay the rent, pay the mortgage, pay the light bill, eat, feed their kids. So I get it. But no, I don't think that you can depend on, having something done or getting more notification from them in the next 7 days or the next 5 business days. If you do, great. I'm super excited for you, but I would not at all hold my breath for that. Let's see. I filed I-130 and 45 concurrently and I-130 is approved. Is that normal? Yes, that is what the process looks like. That is exactly what the process looks like. Yeah, you filed the I-130, 45 concurrently, same time. Sometimes you'll get the I-130 approved first and then the I-45 later, depending on what category you filed in. Sometimes you will get them both adjudicated during an interview at a local USCIS office. But yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having your I-130 approved. Listen, there's nothing wrong with getting anything approved through immigration, y'all. So there's zero wrong with that. So congratulations on your I-130 approval. Back over to YouTube. Yes. So I'm assuming yes means your real question was not, can you get married, but what does that process look like? So Click the link in the bio, schedule a consult. I'm more than happy to chat with you about that in your individual circumstances. Let's see here. Y'all are saying hello, hello, hello. Good to see you all. Let's see here. Hey, Angie. What about when, no, don't do that. Okay. What about when you come with a different name and you married with your real name? You could help. That is a consultation. I have a lot more questions than I have even sort of thoughts to verbalize. If we are using different names, we need to know why. So that's really a consultation question. Because best believe the Immigration Service is going to realize that you have used different names, and if they don't like the explanation as to why, then that is something that needs to be figured out. Those are the types of things when I work with my clients that I like to know about ahead of time. That is not something that you want me finding out about while we are sitting in an interview or while you are in an interview. So for that, I would say you absolutely need a consultation. I honestly goodness have more questions than I do sort of thoughts and answers. How do I get a FOIA? Depends on what agency you are trying to FOIA and what documents you're trying to get. But most of the agencies, I think if not all, at least the ones that touch immigration, you can FOIA, you can do that online. And you can certainly get a copy of your file online. Passport is expiring below 6 months. Is it allowed for entry? I'm assuming you mean your home country passport. And yes, the Immigration Service will, I don't see why they wouldn't allow you in if you only have 6 months left on your passport. Now, what you should be aware of if you are traveling into the US and your passport is going to expire, let's say in 4 months. Let's say you want to come here as a tourist. Usually, tourists get 6 months. If your passport expires in 4, they will only stamp you in for the length of time that your passport is valid. If you're coming over on an employment-based visa, so an H-1B, an L-1A, an L-1B, an O-1, they will only stamp you in for the validity of your passport, even though your visa and your approval notice are valid for much, much longer. So as a practical matter, sure, you can arrive at the airport and they will stamp you in. They will absolutely cut that time short if they are paying attention. And trust me, that is something that they very rarely miss, because I often get calls from my clients saying, hey, what happened? They cut this short. First thing I do is look at, when does your passport expire? Okay. So if you are in a position to get your passport extended before you travel, then I would say definitely get your passport extended. If you are not in a position to get your passport extended before travel, then I say understand that you will be expected to leave prior to your passport expiring, because that is what they will give you as your cutoff day. I'm filing concurrently. Do I have to send duplicates of evidence for each form? Some forms require duplicates, some don't. So if you are filing on your own, I would say read the instructions to the forms and see if they are requesting things be sent in duplicate. Mohammed, you are welcome. Let's see here. It is so hard to read through all of these polka dots. I swore I would never wear this blouse again while going live. Where are you located? I am a virtual firm. So I work with folks in all 50 states, and we are totally virtual. So I work with folks everywhere. So everybody gets their own client portal where we upload documents to one another, and lots of phone calls and or video calls. So I'm really kind of everywhere you are. On a marriage-based green card. On a marriage-based green card, I got my EAD and an RFE for joint sponsor. I got my EAD. Well, I'm glad that you got your EAD. An RFI for joint sponsor. Is that a good sign? I mean, I suppose it really depends on how you define good. But the joint sponsor, the RFE for a joint sponsor is essentially the Immigration Service telling you that your current petitioner, the person who is sponsoring you, doesn't have enough income and assets in order to meet the requirements. So they are giving you an opportunity to enlist a joint sponsor. So do I think that's good? Yes, because what they could have done was simply deny it, right? They could have just simply denied it. So they are giving you an opportunity to find a joint sponsor. So I would quickly find a joint sponsor because you're only really given about 12 weeks to respond to requests for further evidence. Sometimes, depending on which office issued them, you're given a slightly shorter time. But yeah, you want to make sure that you find a joint sponsor. Thank you for the likes, guys. Thank you for the hearts, guys. I totally appreciate that. User with a lot of numbers after that. You are very welcome. I'm glad that made sense. Let's see here. How long does it take for an I-730 to process to bring family members from Jordan? I don't know what an I-730 is, so I surely don't know the processing times. But now I'm curious. Oh, I-730 is a refugee asylum relative petition. My office doesn't handle any of those. So one, I don't handle them, so I don't know. I don't even know what the process is, and I don't know what the processing times are. So I'm definitely not the person to ask because I surely had to look up I-730 just now. So unfortunately, I'm not the best person for you to ask, or I'm not the best person to answer that for you. I just don't know. How soon after marriage can I start filing the I-130 and the I-130A? The next day. There is no wait time for filing your I-130s. Y'all, if you are married, you can file your green card. You can start filing quite literally the next day. Immigration Service just they need to see that you're married, and they need to, it needs to be a bona fide, real relationship, but there is no specific wait time. So you can file very next day. What other questions do y'all have? Because if there are none, then I will hop off and go have dinner. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. What else do we have? Ash, I don't know what your question is. Let's see here. And I don't see anything else over on the Facebook page or on YouTube. So what else do y'all have for me? Yeah, the Savage, thank you for the like. I appreciate that. And I can't see right now who shared it, but thank you for sharing. So if you have friends or colleagues that you think this slide would be helpful for, feel free to share it to them. What else do we have? Wasn't sure if it wasn't something you could answer. Ash, re-ask her question. It may have just gotten lost up in the scrolling. But put it in quickly, because if I don't see any more questions, y'all know I'm going to have dinner. I'm trying to get in bed earlier these days. Okay, let's see here. If I have worked without authorization, should it be written? If I have worked without authorization, should it be written in employment section or additional info? I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to fill out. So I don't know what you're actually trying to fill out. So I don't know what you're applying for, I guess is a better way to say it. I don't know what you're applying for, but here's the deal. If a question is asking you, when you're answering a question, the most important thing is to be honest. So it does not matter if you put, I worked without authorization in one section of the form versus the addendum to the form. The Immigration Service wants to see the truth. These officers look at every single page. So, there's more than one way to get to your end goal, which is what I tell people. And if you ask 5 different immigration attorneys this question, you will get 5 different flavors of the same answer, all of which are 110% correct. Something like that is I would say pretty discretionary, right? I use the addendum a lot. I have a friend who hates using the addendum in her applications, right? So it just really, just be honest. Just be honest. Put the information in the application where you think it makes sense. But the most important thing is that you want to be honest. If it is asking for, unauthorized work, then you want to be honest. Wasn't sure. So I hope that makes sense. So in removal proceedings. Okay, so I don't know what your question is, but it says something about in removal proceedings. So if someone is in removal proceedings, I'm not the person that you need to be chatting with. I don't know anything about deportation defense. That is not in my wheelhouse at all. So I am super comfortable telling you that. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I am definitely not the one. Or I should say, depending on where this person is in removal proceedings. If you send me a note, if you send me a DM and you are looking to hire an attorney, if I know someone in that area, then I'm more than happy to give you the names of a few attorneys that I might know in that area. And you can do consultations with them and see if they can help you. But yeah, I am not your girl when it comes to removal. Can I? Oh, hold on. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's see here. Can I petition for my 20-year-old daughter in the US? I-94 is still valid, and I am an LPR. So, yes, you can. Because you're an LPR, that puts your unmarried child under the age of 21, makes them a second preference category, makes them F2A. So there's a bit of strategy and sort of some thoughtfulness that would need to go into that application. And specifically, an analysis would need to be done as to whether or not her age would freeze such that she remains under 20 according to the rules. because if she does not qualify for her age to freeze, you probably are not going to get this done before she is 21. But there are certainly some things that may be able to be done from a strategy perspective. So that is really a consultation to see how we can strategize and get an application. I am actually thinking it might take multiple applications done so that she has an opportunity to become an LPR like you. So not a simple yes or no question. It is a yes, but there are some other things that really should be taken into consideration. And one is the fact that she is 20 years old, and dependents for U.S. immigration are under 21 and unmarried. So so I hope that's helpful. Can an expired passport be used at a biometric appointment? That's a good question. I don't know. I've never had a client encounter that, so I don't know. It's a really good question though. No idea. Now I feel like I'm going to write myself a note though, because now I'm super curious. I want to see if my friends know. Hold on. I'm actually going to ping some friends right now and see if they know the answer to this, because I think that's kind of an interesting question. So hold on. Hold, please. All right. I'm curious myself. So I don't know. Short answer is I don't know. I've never had a client who has tried to use an expired passport with their biometrics. Let's see here. My husband is Jamaican, and the DMV wanted his physical passport alongside the license. I'm not quite sure I understand what you're asking, Ash. I think TikTok is removing my comments. Well, that would not be very nice of them. Yeah. And someone is saying, oh, I feel like you guys are having a whole conversation about driver's licenses, which I have honestly not been paying attention to. Let's see here. Can an expired passport? Oh, no, that I don't know. Oh, Miss Independent. Ooh, I love that screen name. How did you score that? Love it. Get a city ID. That is certainly an option. Some states will give you a state issued ID in lieu of a driver's license. Some states will give you both. Other states will only give you one. So kind of depends on what the rules are of your state. Oh, I get it. You're saying you just have your Jamaican driver's license. I get it. Got it. So I hope that was helpful, Ash. I mean, I know I wasn't able to help you, but I hope you at least understand that I'm not ignoring you. Let's see here. Can I sponsor a visa lottery winner and a marriage couple with 45K yearly wage, and I'm with 4 family? Okay, that is absolutely a consultation question. That requires me to do like I have to look stuff up. And I have to see what the poverty table says, what the rules say. So that is not sort of a simple, hey, can you give me like a nice high level explanation on that? How long is USCIS taking to approve an I-639 RFE? It's been over 2 months. I-360 is approved. Y'all, I know no one wants to hear this from me, but honestly, 2 months is not a long time in the immigration world. Nobody wants to hear that. You don't want to hear that. My clients don't want to hear that. It's just not a long time. There is no set time where the immigration service must respond to an RFE unless it is an employment-based case and you have filed using premium processing. In those cases, the Immigration Service strives to use the same premium processing timeline to respond to RFEs when they are submitted. But I suspect what is super behind your question is that you have heard that if the only thing they're asking for is your 639 or your medical, that shortly after that you will get your green card in the mail, an approval notice, and not have an interview. Now, the Immigration Service right now does have a very temporary policy in place where super clean cases with great documents that give no whiff of anything wrong are being approved without an interview. Because the medical is not required to be submitted when you submit your application, sometimes when the only thing that they are requesting is your medical, it can be, sometimes directly after that, once they get it, they will approve the case because that's the only thing they're waiting on. So if that's the only thing they're waiting on, and they get it and they open it and everything looks fine and they don't have any questions on it, then in some cases they will absolutely approve you. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you how quickly you're going to get your either an approval and your green card in the mail or an interview notice. So I'm telling everybody, yes, this is a policy. Yes, I think it's a wonderful policy. Yes, have my clients been able to take advantage of it? Absolutely. I just sent a client a note today that their case has been approved. So be on the lookout for your green card, and they had no interview. So yes, it is actually happening. But just because they only ask for your medical does not a guarantee make that you are not going to have an interview. Because I suspect that's actually what's really behind your question. But yeah, 2 months is not, 2 months in the immigration world is not a long time to wait. It is frustrating, I get it, but it's not a long time to wait. So hang in there a little bit longer. Fingers crossed that you get an approval. If you do come back, we will all celebrate with you. I love celebrating approvals. Truly, even if I had nothing to do with them, I love celebrating approvals. I think the immigration system is super hard sometimes, and I love to celebrate when people get through it. Let's see here. Let's see here. My husband lives abroad. His I-130 is actively under review as of August 2023. What does that mean? I would love to know what that means as well, because you know what I think it means? You know what I've seen it mean? It means I need to wait. Like, I got so excited the first time I saw that as a new status. I was like, oh, this is really helpful, y'all. And then I had a client whose case sat in that same status that we are actively reviewing, actively under review for months. So I was like, I don't really know what actively means. So I'm going to guess. It's totally a guess. What I think it means is that your file is either very much in line, and I'm sure there's a cutoff as to when they use this particular status, and I don't know what that cutoff is, but I think there's probably a cutoff where the file is almost ready to be assigned to an adjudicator up into the time it is assigned, up into it's assigned to adjudicator and an adjudicator is actually working on it. That would make sense to me, just kind of knowing what I know about the agency. But again, it's totally a guess. So I kind of liken it to your file is at the front of the shelf, still on the shelf, so the front of the shelf. And then it goes to like a little table, right? And then from the table, it actually goes onto an adjudicator's desk. That's kind of how I conceptualize it for myself. But I have quite literally seen some of my own files sitting for months actively under review. So I don't get excited about that status anymore, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not quite sure you should either. So take a deep breath, take a pause. It may take some more time. But I will say, actively under review and any kind of change in your status means that your case is being worked on. So I try to find the silver lining. How do you feel about advanced parole with DACA? Um, I don't typically do DACA cases, so I have no sort of concrete feelings about it, to be honest. I do have colleagues that handle DACA cases, and DACA can be a great tool. I'm sorry, advanced parole with DACA can be a great tool. I'm just not someone who can really sort of opine on it with any amount of clarity or certainty or knowledge behind it. So I'm not really the greatest person for any DACA questions. But I loved how you phrased that. um, do you what the expectation? No, I think it's do you know what the expected wait time for an asylum seeker to be approved for authorization to work? I have no idea. I do not know all the processing times off the top of my head. Processing times are based on the type of application filed and what office currently has that application. So when my clients ask, I have to look it up. Or when we affirmatively give our clients an update in terms of timing, we have to look it up because I just don't know them. The one live where I've been able to intelligently tell someone what a processing time was because I had looked it up 20 minutes before I got online for a client. So I don't know what the processing times are. I also don't do asylum cases, so I don't know if those I don't know if those work authorization documents go to a specific office. That I don't know. How do I feel about VAWA? I don't really handle VAWA cases in my office, but I think if someone is in or was in a bad marriage where there was abuse, and they are eligible for DACA, I think DACA can be a wonderful, absolutely wonderful way to get your green card, remain in the United States. But more importantly, whether this question is for you or for a friend or for someone else or just a general question, I like to see people getting the help that they need when they are in a marriage that is abusive. So that is something that I like to see people really taking advantage of the services that are out there to help them while they are currently in an abusive relationship or they are coming out of an abusive relationship. And if VAWA is one of the tools that can help you and you qualify, then I say absolutely go for it. And that way you are not worrying about that other shoe to drop. I will say, in speaking to my colleagues that do handle VAWA cases, a lot of what the abusive spouse is saying is that I'm going to get you deported. You don't know how the system works. I'm gonna take your status away from you. I'm gonna take your green card away from you. That person doesn't have the ability to do that. They are not the federal government. They do not have the ability to go in anywhere and ask you to be deported, and then poof, the next day you're deported. That is a way for them to try to control you. While I don't handle VAWA cases, I think VAWA is an absolutely wonderful piece of legislation that helps people. Nadia, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Happy to answer. Can the person who sponsored me last year sponsor my son? It depends. I mean, is there a relationship there? Like that's super, super broad, right? That is a consultation question. If it's your spouse, perhaps totally depends. We'd have to kind of see if you meet the criteria for that. But in general, we can certainly do applications can certainly be done by step parents for step children, and I'm assuming it's a step parent relationship, or it can be or maybe you maybe mom and dad, for whatever reason, left child overseas, their biological child overseas, and they want to now bring that child here in the States. That can happen too. But that really is a consult question to see who, what, when, why, where, like how, like what is the best way to do that and make that happen. I made my process from March 28th, 2023, and now I need a joint sponsor for a decision to be made. Then you need to get yourself a joint sponsor. Is it normal to get advanced parole before getting your work permit? Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, processing times depend on the application that you filed and the office that is processing it. I just actually had a conversation with a colleague maybe 2 weeks ago. The advanced parole and the work permit can be adjudicated together and can be approved and issued at the same time using one card. That one card at the bottom says can be used for travel, right? But sometimes the Immigration Service will actually do us a favor, right? I know that's shocking to some people, but they actually will do us a huge favor when they adjudicate them separately. So during COVID, during the height of COVID, EADs, work permits, were taking forever. So they started to process the work permits first, or they started to process them separately. So what you were seeing was a lot of people getting their advanced parole, their travel permission first, and then getting their work authorization, and they were getting 2 cards in the mail, right? So we're getting 2 cards in the mail, which is fine. So if you have one, then you just need to wait on the other. But there is no rule that your work permit must come first. Not a rule. Just, again, completely depends on how the Immigration Service has split up their caseload, the best way that they know how to get through the cases. And sometimes that is absolutely splitting up and processing separately work authorization and travel permission. So I am not at all surprised that you have them coming at you separately. But if you got one approved, do a dance, because that is awesome. Is it typical for some people to be given an alien number on their I-130 approval and some people not? That's weird. Unless you have physically seen 2 I-130 approval notices where some people are given one and some people have not, it really depends on what's happening. But I know I always check my clients' approval notices or their receipt notices for the issuance of the A number, and when I should be getting that. Let's see here. I don't see any other questions. Comment, you're very welcome. My pleasure. And Libby, you are quite welcome. Any other questions? Because y'all know me, I will zip off and have some dinner if y'all don't have any more questions for me. But if y'all have, really specific case questions, or your friends have super specific questions, just have them click the link in my bio and schedule a consultation. I know that some people are hesitant to schedule a consultation. They're not quite sure if they want to hire an attorney. And I get that. Some people are, not quite sure what the fees will be. I, for one, don't ever give you a fee before I know what is involved, what the strategy is. And having an attorney with you on your case, in some cases, quite honestly, gives you a sense of comfort that somebody else has your back, and that there's a safety net to what's going on, and that somebody will have all the conversations needed and will reach out to the Immigration Service when necessary, to find out what's going on with your case, to see if we can move your case along, to, answer the request for further evidence. So instead of you all trying to figure out what you need to send into USCIS, there's someone there who does this all day, every day, and works opposite the immigration service, works opposite the consulates, works opposite the Department of Labor all day, every day. Like I work across from them all day, every day, right? They're always on the opposite side of my cases. And so I think there's just that emotional comfort level that you have, um, that you don't sort of have to go it alone and figure this out. So that once you file your case, your perception is that it's sitting in a black hole because you haven't heard, you got your receipt notice that came pretty quickly, and then it's just kind of sitting in a black hole, and you don't know if that's normal or not. My clients know what to expect in terms of timing. My clients have their own client portal. They can shoot me a message through the client portal. They can schedule calls with me. I tell them, if you are up at 3 in the morning and you're Googling, that is a problem. And I need you to stop Googling and schedule a call. Get on my calendar and we will figure out why you are Googling, right? And I always tell them, if my clients are Googling, then I haven't done my job, right? I haven't done my job in explaining things to them. So there's a certain amount of Googling that's just going to happen. And I get that. But my goal really for all my clients is for them not to feel like they need to Google, so that they have a resource. Like my job is to be your resource through this process. So that is actually what I love to do. So let's see here. Yeah, but every single client I work with, every single solitary one, it always starts with a consultation so that I can figure out what's happening, what has happened, and what your goal is. And sometimes, honestly, through a consultation, someone will throw in what they perceive to be sort of like a little fact, and it's huge. It's a huge fact from a legal perspective. And sometimes people will throw in what they think is like this huge explanation, and I'm like, oh, that's not a big deal, right? So that's another reason why you want to have an attorney. But truly, y'all, for someone like me, like I'm super clear with like what I know, what I don't know, what kind of cases my firm handles. If you wind up speaking with an attorney and they say that they don't handle this type of case is not their jam, it's not in their wheelhouse, however they communicate that to you, believe them, right? Believe them. And most attorneys I know, most attorneys that, are sort of in my inner circle, will try to find, or, will give you the name if they know other attorneys who handle the type of case that you have, handle the type of nuance that's in your case. I quite literally told someone today, I was like, could I figure this out for you? Absolutely. But it doesn't make any sense for you to pay me to do that, right? It doesn't make any sense to engage me when I would have to do research like throughout. When you could engage another immigration attorney who does this, who handles this type of nuance all day, every day, and doesn't, and you're not going to pay for that person to learn and do all the research and all the things. So when you get an attorney that says something like that to you, believe them. Even if you've seen them, on lives and they seem really cool and really knowledgeable, they probably are. But if they're telling you that this is not a case that they work with, please believe them, right? Please believe them. And it's super flattering when someone says, oh, I really want to work with you. I really want to work with you. But I'm like, oh, this, like, your case is not my jam. Like, that's not what I handle. And some people will take me up on my offer to see if I can, give them a couple of names. And I'm always happy to do that, because my goal is for y'all to get the help that you need, even if that is not coming from me. I think that is super important. I'm an LPR and I want to file for my son who is here with me. What do I do before naturalization? Kind of a consult question, but as an LPR, LPRs can file for their children who are under 21 and unmarried. Actually, yeah, spouses and children and unmarried sons and daughters. So they can also be over 21, but they can't be married. So again, there is strategy behind that question because I don't know how old your child is. I don't know how old your son is. But if you are eligible for U.S. citizenship, that is certainly something that we can take into consideration during a consultation when when I sit down and start asking questions. One of the things given those two questions, one of the things I would look at is, are you eligible for U.S. citizenship? And if you are, great. If you want to apply for U.S. citizenship, even better. We do a couple different things to get you on your way, and it may require more than one application, which, trust and believe, a lot of people don't want to hear from me. But sometimes the best way to get to your situation is to file more than one application in a strategic way that is well thought out. So I would encourage you with those two questions to schedule a consultation, and I can kind of dig through it and come up with a strategy if we can for you. Let's see here. How long for VAWA in 2023? I have no idea. My office doesn't handle VAWAs, and I don't know processing times for anything off the top of my head. Processing times depend on the type of application and the office that is handling the application. Folks that handle VAWA on all day, everyday basis probably have some more very generic processing times that they can provide to you. I just don't. Can I travel internationally with advanced parole? Absolutely. That is why advanced parole was created, to allow people to travel internationally while their cases are pending. A better question is, should you? And the answer to that is, I don't know, because I don't know the facts, right? So advanced parole, very high level, very educational level, absolutely. That's why advanced parole was created. But should you, as an individual, specific person, use that advanced parole? I have no idea. I have no idea because I don't know your individual scenario. Currently have an I-130 pending that was filed 5/23. Can we file the I-45 now? I have no idea. Whether or not you can file your I-45 depends on what visa category you are in. First, second, third, fourth preference. I have no idea what category you're in. So that's a super important question. But it is a very nuanced question. So I don't know what kind of case you filed, that kind of thing. So if you want to schedule a consultation, that is for sure a consultation question, because I don't know whether or not your priority date is current. Is it safe to travel with advanced parole through DACA if you were detained as a minor crossing the border? I have no idea. I don't generally handle DACA cases, or not generally, I don't handle DACA cases. So I don't handle DACA. Folks that are detained crossing the border, that flips you into a whole other side of immigration law, which I don't do. I don't handle. I'm very confident to say I don't know. So I cannot even give you incredibly general information on that. You really want to talk to someone, you really want to talk to an immigration attorney who handles advanced parole based on DACA and works with folks that are crossing the southern border. Those are some very, very specific legal issues that I am not up to speed on at all. So unfortunately, I am not your person. So F2A category, I have no idea what the visa bulletin is saying right now. That is a consultation question. That is something I would have to look up during the consultation. Let's see here. Asylee got a green card, not renewing. Asylee got green card, not renewing passport. Can I travel? other countries with travel doc till I get my US passport. I do not fully understand your question. What I do understand about your question is that you are an asylee. So I don't handle asylum matters. So I just don't honestly know. One, I don't understand your question, but I don't handle asylee cases. So I'm definitely not the best person to ask. I feel like asylees have some very different rules that are major, that are huge. And so I can't really opine on that because I don't know. All right, what else y'all got for me? I don't see anything on YouTube. Right, y'all. I'm gonna head out to dinner. But again, you're welcome to click the link in my bio, schedule a consult if you are interested in working with the firm. I'm Carol Williams. I'm the head attorney. I'm the owner of the firm. All we do is immigration. I've been practicing for 25 years. I used to be an adjudications officer in USCIS, so I bring that knowledge to all of my client files. And we work with folks in all 50 states and Washington, D.C., as well as internationally. We work with businesses and we work with families. So if you are, looking to be employed and you have an employer, I work with that employer to make sure that we get you, the right work authorization and the right visa category that sets you up long term for your green card, hopefully sponsored by the same employer. I also work with families, and I do citizenship applications for folks. So a lot of strategy goes into your immigration cases, y'all. It is way more than just filling out forms. And so we are super specific in our strategies and how we help people. So yeah, the Savage, thank you. Good night to you as well. I will enjoy my dinner. It is actually ready since I don't have to cook tonight, which is nice. So I will talk to y'all later. Let me check my calendar. I think I'm going live again tomorrow. Yes, it should be live. I should be back here tomorrow evening. So if you didn't get your question answered tonight, or you think a friend or a colleague would find this helpful, feel free to share this with them. Let them know I'll be live again tomorrow. If you want notification, you can go ahead and follow me, and then the app should notify you when I'm live. I will chat with you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye, everybody.